The Hebrew text in the Bible has hidden formats. By revealing these formats, I will prove the first writer's words were hidden from you. These formats look like poetry as I group them into small paragraphs. Their grouping will become known as a psalm, and together they become psalms. Let me show you our Creator's 12 commandments, listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Any father of a family or his wife who did not obey any one of these 12 commandments, our Creator demanded they bring him a sin offering. Thus, our Creator defined the word sin as not obeying any one of these 12 commandments. Next, I want to show you how I changed one word in Exodus 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and the words now reveal the style of the roof for our Creator's tent for meeting with Him. Let me show you the translator's words from the preface of the 1611 King James Bible. They gave 4 reasons for themselves or others to edit the Bible's words. The red arrow at the top points to their 3rd reason to edit the text. By the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next red arrow down points to them giving the title, the divine, to a clerk named Gregory. The next block of words, they point out they were happy that the first emperor of Rome established the year to the course of the sun. Behind this text means Nebuchadnezzar ordered his kingdom to follow our Creator's calendar when he stopped eating grass. Did you notice the letter S in sun is capitalized? This is to give respect to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Have you seen the Egyptian obelisk in the Vatican's front yard? The last arrow points to your reward for studying the Bible. Your reward is to have a fellowship with the saints and participation of a heavenly nature that will never fade away. There is no such thing as nature to a truthful Christian. Our Creator created everything. By their own words, they were not seeking to know our Creator or Jesus. Not everyone has the knowledge to correct every word. I have an old Bible program that has the New American Standard Bible 1977 concordance to help find a better word. Their concordance has the number of times they use that English word in a parenthesis for that Hebrew word. The translators removed his name, YHVH, to put in 2 titles, Lord and God. I replaced those titles using the letters Y and V as his name, for the Hebrew language does not have a J, O, or W. By using these 2 letters, I am closer to the truth than anyone using J, O, or W for his name. So why is there a single letter O in the Hebrew text 1,095 times? No proper English was used? The blue highlighted text is text that I am removing. The red highlighted words are little words that I'm adding. Gray italic words are words that I added. To respect and honor our Creator, all capital letters in purple are our Creator's words. This is Jesus' prophecy, for I am revealing the first writer's words to tell you the true truths about Jesus. As the text is revealed, you can taste the writer's style of wording. Their words will take your belief to trusting our Creator. You will be watching prophecy before your eyes as I edit true truths back into their psalms. All right, this is going to be chapter 44 of Jeremiah. And as you can tell, I've already been working on it. I got 2 hours into it, and well, maybe about an hour and a half's work. Did some chatting, and I pushed the button, and I didn't come back to being live. I kept showing. No, I forgot to come back. So, what I did was I started off. I was looking for what I could find, whether 3-verse or 4-verse, and I decided on a 3-verse, and I changed the word from Jews to Israelis, as Israelis are going to be, when you recognize that word, those are the ones who are most dedicated to our Creator. They're obedient. Jews are going to be defined as those against our Creator. Now, Jeremiah is a prophet. This is, when I was doing this, I noticed this text has got some early type of writings, and I'll show you that or let me explain something. There, in the king's timeline, we have many prophets that start speaking of the differences of the enemy that's coming. And here, this is when the king of Assyria took away the captives from the nation Israel. I've got a cold, so I'm not all that healthy here, so my mind has been scattered here a little bit today. But Jeremiah is going to be a prophet that shows up right here. But they didn't know who was going to win the battle, and it seems between Babylon and Assyria. So sometimes the text is referring to coming from the north will be the enemy. And then later it comes from Babylon, and then it announces Nebuchadnezzar's the king of Babylon, and he's the one that kind of comes down and gets rid of Judah. In this text, this understanding of who's living in these cities that are in Egypt, because once you know Memphis is the capital of Egypt, you would understand the text here. So what we have is early prophecies of our Creator telling the people that I'm going to send them from the north, so flee from this area because the priests are corrupt. So the thing here is those that fled to Egypt, okay? So, but Jeremiah is talking about these guys that are living there now, which kind of confuses the story, because down through this text here, as you can see, that I've done some correcting. That's pretty normal here. Calamity to destruction, cities for Judah are going to be brought to destruction, and today they are in ruins and no one lives in them. So the thing here is the text is kind of scrambled, so I don't know how many pieces are actually going together in this. What I'm finding is these are pairing up, but the story isn't reading in order. For example, they're in ruins here. I've got them living in Egypt, so that means that Judah has been over and done with. And then all of a sudden, it's he's telling why he took them, sent them away, because they provoked him by their evilness. The word evilness I have for, good day, Tad, how you doing? You have a good Christmas. I myself don't believe in the Christmas, but I know everybody does celebrate it. Evilness is the closest word I can use as the most, I guess evilness, as we know, describes that, but I can't use the secular definitions. So I made evilness as those that are against our Creator, where the word wickedness and the words like that would be one against each other, neighborly type of thing, wickedness. You can't be evil against your neighbor, because evilness is pretty much being against the 12 commandments. So here, now the text comes down and says why, and I had to put in here Raz, the sun god from Egypt, just not other gods. When I have the word apostrophe S, Raz, Ra is the sun god, the moon goddess is his daughter, and then the planets that they knew that were roaming, they're called roaming gods. These all have pagan names, and because the others, what we know as stars, they thought were, under their practice, they were going to become gods in the sky. That's how they get to go to heaven. We know today that that's not true because we know what a star is and how far away they are. So this, you got to remember, is 2,000 to 3,000 years old of this knowledge. So you have to keep that in mind when I'm putting the text together. They were serving the other gods, god of war. I don't know how Jupiter is another god, but the thing there is I think he's the king of night or something, or the god of the night. But the thing here is there's not much in the text that we have of them. But what the text is telling me here, that all of a sudden I sent them my prophets, but that's why they're gone away. And these abominable things are this meditation practice, okay, to have sex with a so-called female goddess. Now the text comes down here to where repent is easy to figure out. There's a bubble that goes around in the body when you meditate on a certain day, like Halloweeny day, that this bubble goes around the body. So that's how I represent the knowledge of the gods. Other than that, when they're talking about people becoming gods, I have that with a little o. But when I came down here, this was a little harder to put together because I needed a grouping of text to go with this. So these are kind of like 4 dots that I use to continue all the way down here. So you can see there's a lot of text that I have over here that I got rid of. But I actually had them in like 3 or 4 verses, but I wanted to pile them up so it was easier to read this way. So then what happens is now the story's changing. Yeah, that's why I've got the big space here. The story is now changed. And it's talking about the prophecies. Now you are provoking me to anger. So now we got, they're back in Judah. And at some time, this story is going to be about Jeremiah prophesying. And you notice I got the word gods just the way it is here. I should have made it a capital O, so I missed that the first time around. Now, here he's talking about, these are all going to be our Creator's words. So I don't have it all colored and highlighted yet as to him speaking, but or him prophesying these words. But it says your fathers and the kings, okay? So when you look at the timeline to try to put where this text is at, whoops, not that one, this one. This king for 50 years this is really when they started become corrupt. The priest allowed him to put his carved idol of the goddess into our Creator's meeting room with him, which means that the priest had to be corrupt, and then his son continues this practice. So when Jeremiah shows up, he shows up about in the 10th year. Say if I take this as 30 years, he's showing up in about the 10th year. So this text is referring to the kings that just started here or got over with. So the text that I'm seeing here seems to be, it's listed as chapter 44, but this is more like chapter 1, okay, when he starts out. So I kind of know the story, so when I'm reading and trying to do these, correcting the text, because I've been doing it for years. So the thing here is the wording has to represent the text at that time that he said it, and not to put in words that I know that needs to be there from a different time. So But that's what I'm seeing in the text. So I'm editing this group in here as text that I'm pretty sure is going to be one of the first time he starts speaking. Now, I don't think I have to go through all these words here. They're pretty easy to see. Live there, live wherever. He's sending them away. And then he's telling them that they're going to die. That if they don't repent, they're going to die. Now, our Creator's timeline for when he says like now could be 60 years away. Now your time is up. So that's type of thing you have to understand. Our Creator's words sometimes is said that means 10 years from now, if you don't change, this is going to happen. So because one time he'll prophesy, and then another time he'll come out and prophesy that if you repent, then this will happen. But then it seems like some of the people decide to be more obedient to our Creator, but then the other side steps in and becomes more evil. So it's kind of like this back and forth of our Creator when you see these all put together. How the subjects change and how they go back and forth. That they repented, so he backs off a little bit, but he knows it's still going to be corrupt. Now, then all of a sudden, he's going to tell them about there's going to be refugees, and they're going to be surviving descendants, and they who are entered the land of Egypt will live there, or who went to Egypt will live. To live there they're going to be coming back. They shall return. Okay, so he does kind of tell them the future. And this text, I know there's other texts that I've already done that speaks to these people that are going to Egypt. He's telling them you go ahead and flee to Egypt to save your life. Okay. And I don't know at what time, it's all scrambled right now, but I'm pretty sure this is kind of like he's telling them to flee here for the first time. And then I know that he's going to repeat it closer to when he's telling them Babylon is coming. So these refugees here, and this is a difference in the wording that I'd be using. If it was later, these are called the ones who flee to Egypt, who fled at Egypt, okay? Flee to Egypt, or they fled, either or depending on the timeline. And then here, this is telling me this is going to be one of the first times, because I can't put the word flee there because he's saying they will enter, who entered the Egypt. So that's what's going on in the text. This is where I left off. I got 2 hours into this in Yahoo again, or YouTube. Yahoo. YouTube told me my stream wasn't good enough and I lost connection. So I'm back here, but that took about 2 hours to do, hour and a half, 2 hours to do. But this is catching up because I don't know if it was going to connect. I don't know enough about how YouTube connects them back together. It's happened to me only once that it's actually worked. But I know that a lot of it, I'm just wasting time. So I cut it short, and I'm starting this video here already in 14 verses. So I've kind of more or less summed up what I've done. I don't think any of this is complicated when you see what I'm doing, adding words or stuff. But to divide the groups up, that's kind of hard to do, or hard to find in this mess and pick them out. So that's what slows me down some. So what I'm going to do here is start here by remembering that where I'm at here, but if I can remember my thoughts right, I was discussing whether this was actually connected to this or it might be a new story. That's why I said this is missing. So yeah, that's right, because I remember saying this is starting to be too far away. So the story is now changing, I believe. Yeah, okay, now that I'm really caught up here. This text is sounding like Jeremiah is having a conversation with them, because I had to edit the word together. They replied to Jeremiah, they said. I know it reads rough right now. I was just trying to figure out how this is going to start. Either it's going to start here, or does this text need to be moved up here and on top of it to start the conversation? Because up here it's our Creator speaking, and then you can see down here that all their men who were aware of their wives who were burning sacrifices to other gods. So I knew the conversation had changed, and this is like having this talk with Jeremiah. So I just tried to stick something together to say, how do I start this off? So I'll start from here then. I know it's a little jumbled up, but that's the best I can do. And I've got a cold, so I'll be coughing and hacking during this time, but I got to keep posting videos. Long way to go. Now, then all the men who were aware. So this word doesn't need to be here. This doesn't need to be here. Then, yeah, who are these men? Aware that their wives. The burning sacrifices, I went over that in the video that I had to throw away. We learn in Egypt that they made a molten calf. And what happened was, the way the story was Moses come down and seeing them having a party. So it's understanding that they kill they have their idol sitting there, and then the altar they sacrifice, kill, and then they roast it and eat it, and they celebrate. That was the practice 3,000 years ago. So when it says burning sacrifices, this meant roasting sacrifices and then partying. So that's kind of how this is defined. It's a different type of sacrifice when our Creator wants them to sacrifice to then bring an offering. So but the object is that I have to use the word sacrifice the same way, because it has a double meaning, but the two different ways. Okay, they're roasting their sacrifices to other gods. Now I'm going to put the larger O here. Along with all the women who were standing by in a large assembly, including all the people. See, now they're trying to say that this was in Egypt, and the story is placed back in Judah, so they haven't been captured yet. So that's why I removed those words. Together they replied, and to Jeremiah, they said, for the message that you have told us. They replied to Jeremiah. Maybe that's what I got going wrong here. They replied to Jeremiah. I'll get rid of this word. And then I don't need to add this word. They replied to Jeremiah, because now this has to be the ending that's missing, that he's ending up prophesying to them. So it's not a message, it's the prophecy. As for the prophecy you have just told us, or heralded. So this is, because you got to remember, at some time the priests had their own diviners that were prophesying and tricking the people, and we do have that. Our Creator tells us what they were doing at that time. It's in His prophecy of them prophesying in His name and fooling the people. So I think this is going to connect. They replied to Jeremiah, as for the prophecy you have heralded. Have heralded, which would be like this and like this. This would get small. Don't need this. As for the prophecy you herald, in the name YV. See, they don't respect YV, so I can't say this would be bold, and I'm gonna say they're kind of not believing him, so I'll do this to his name. I'll do the same thing here because I still want to honor and respect our Creator in the text. In the name of YV. Okay, so this is going to be what setting us up as to who these guys are, and this is going to be mankind, those that are actually meditating and having sex with the so-called female goddess. So we are not going to listen to, okay. And they're saying this was a big clue for me to do that, by the way. Now, to have this sex practice, you have to remain single. Okay, you can no longer release your seed or have sex with or share your love with a woman once you start this practice. So the thing here is, it's then the men. Okay, these have to be, they don't know the practice, but they don't believe in our Creator anymore. These are the ones that are, then, so I have to set up as our unbelieving men. I need that word to set up who they really are. And I got the word "are" spelled wrong here. Then our unbelieving men, meaning Israelis who are now Jews. they don't believe in our Creator, aren't following anything, but they don't have the sex practice yet. So that's where I would put a small o in here. Okay, I got carried away. Then our unbelieving men. Well, where their wives were roasting to join the party. Like I'm saying, they seen this event and they thought, okay, well that's what we heard they were doing in Egypt, so let's follow that practice. So we're roasting the sacrifices, and women do the cooking. Okay. But this is telling me this is a 4-verse grouping because I can't put this with this. So right here in the middle, I now have a 4-verse grouping. Then our unbelieving men. I don't need the word then. Our unbelieving men were aware their wives were roasting sacrifices to other gods. Okay, so this would be like a period, and this is going to be a comma, this is a period, and this is a comma. As you see, that's what the text actually tells me, whether it's a 4-verse or a 3-verse. When I've got words like this that I know that are connecting, they're true, but they don't go with this group, then that's what happens. So, but if I need a 3-verse, I don't need this, and I need to change this from just males, put it as an A, man meaning male and female. Then our unbelieving man, unbelieving, this would have to be people, or roasting sacrifices to other gods. So I can work it to a 3-verse because I've got all 3 verses going right now in this chapter. But well, this here is not really needed because this then this would be the introduction to who they are, to say that I can use the word they, along with all the women who were standing in large assembly, including all the people. That doesn't make sense. I've got all this up here, so our unbelieving, I'm going to have to put males like this. Whoops. Whatever. I need to put that there. Well, let me do it like this and do it right. Where are their wives? Or roasting sacrifices. You'd have to know this, but this can't go. These two have to go together. So our unbelieving males and their wives. So I don't need this. And their wives were sacrificing to other gods. Okay. And they replied to Jeremiah, as for the prophecy you heralded in the name YV. Okay, that reads pretty smooth, and they go together. So now this has to be the starting of the next group. We are not going to listen to you, but rather we will certainly carry out every word that proceeds from our mouth. Well, we are not going to listen to, not him, not you. Is it, are they talking to him and avoiding, they don't have, because I'm thinking about put the word him here, that in his name they don't believe in him. So we're not going to listen to whoever you're prophesying to or from. We are not. I'm trying to figure out how I can get rid of maybe the word going and say, we will not listen to YV, but rather, I think I'm going to do that. And I'm adding it here, so it's got to be gray text. We will not. Okay. Listen to YV. Because when I'm reading here, carry out, this is what they're going to do to the Queen of Heaven. This has to be roasting again. Roasting our sacrifices to the, not queen, but goddess. This would be in heaven. Because you got to remember, the sun is God at this time, their belief, and they're living not on a flat land, but a flat earth. They know that it has seasons, they know that it's turning, they know the rotation of the stars, but they think the sun, because I've got verses in Psalms that says the sun is our God and he's clothed himself in light. But this heaven is the stars where it's at. So goddess in heaven would be the moon. Should I put moon goddess in here? Let me see here. And this would be to our goddess. They don't know the practice. They only know by what they're being told. So to our goddess in heaven, and pour out oils to her. Mm-hmm. We will not listen to YV. Now that proceeds out of our mouth, but because how am I going to join this? By roasting our sacrifices, carry out every word. By, see if I don't get rid of this. We will not listen to YV, but rather carry out is not really the definition here. So why don't I keep this? But we will certainly I don't know if I just have to put a blank in here to statement because these aren't really truthfully what's to be being said here. But rather we will certainly this would be like their teaching, carry out our teaching. But we will certainly. What do you do when you're carrying out something like that? We will. Act. Let me see what the secular world is saying. What this word is, I could do with them. Perform, complete, achieve, accomplish, fulfill. Okay, fulfill. I like that better. But we will certainly fulfill. Is it a worship this way? Because the word worship means to bow and then kneel, or kneel and bow to the image, or to where we would understand where our creator. I'm trying to think of how pagans do it and then consider it how we worship our creator, and we'd be bowing with reverence on our knees and saying he is our creator. That's how you worship. So, or what the word worship is meaning, it's an action of your body. But rather we will certainly fulfill our teaching. And I think this is close enough that I don't have to make it my gray text here. So, okay, we will not listen to Ivy, but rather we will not listen to Ivy, but rather we will certainly fulfill our teaching by roasting sacrifices to the goddess in heaven and pour out oils to her. Okay. Now, this is the next group. It seems to be where they got this teaching from. Okay. Just well, I'd have to say that this has got to be a two words combined to make it as the major word, just as our forefathers. But they aren't forefathers. They've only been doing this for a while, so I got to get rid of that. Just as our fathers and kings, like I said, they've been pretty. Our Creator was showing Himself as a light above the mercy seat and speaking from His light to the priest just before that other king got in and started messing things up. So the thing here is that's like from the way back from the time they had this tent for meeting with Him made. So that covering like 500 years that our Creator appeared to them, to the priests, as our fathers. Because forefathers, I try to use that word to mean those at Egypt's time or before then, all the way back Abraham and all the way to Noah. Just as our fathers and our kings. Now you notice that they had two kings. That's why the word kings has to be there. Our kings, and this can't be princes. They have to be priests. Priests. But you notice I'm not giving them any respect by keeping them a smaller lettering. If they were our Creator, they were good, I would have them all capitalized. And our kings and priests. Did in the streets of Jerusalem. Okay, so I'll use this one here. In the streets of Jerusalem. Okay. Where we had plenty of food. So I don't think that's what he didn't mention up here that they're going to be at a famine. Yeah, not in this story. So to say that I got to include the word famine here when they're talking, because our Creator told them in the Sinai that they would make sure that as long as you obey my 12 commandments, you will never have famine. So, and it's not that it's happening now. So, in other words, that they're saying this sentence is that they're aware of the commandments and knowing the agreement. They've broken the agreement, but the famines haven't come because they were onto another god. So here, so it has to be, maybe 80 years, and our Creator didn't punish them yet by a famine. Okay. But you have to understand that they know this. And that's what this sentence is speaking to. Each one of these sentences there's a story that I can go all over the place on. I once talked to my mother trying to explain 4 verses of text, and she just looked at me after I said went all over the place. And she says, "You got that out of that verse or those sentences?" I says, "That's what that means. But you only know that about after you understand the complete story. Then you can see why these words are specifically being said at certain times to understand the mentality or what they were thinking at least 2,400 years ago. So, so I can't say I can use this. It's got to be here. So this has got for they. That's what's going on. That's what's messed up. For they had plenty of food. Boy, this cold is really knocking me out. Okay. For they had plenty of food and were well off, meaning prospered. And saw not saw, this has to be had no, if it's here, let me see, I just want to see, there you'll die great and okay by sword and diseases. So this would have been, they did have the word famine here. So I was speaking earlier, but I know that's why I didn't put famine in here, because of the diseases. You can't have a famine when you're besieged and then die. It takes a long time. You have to starve people to death. And the numbers that we've got, they only besieged them for 10 months. But there would have been diseases that would have killed them. But then again, I'm putting my own want into this. And I guess I will put famine in. And now this group is truly speaking to understanding what the famine would mean. They had no, if they're being sent as captives, this would have to be no war. For this statement to be true, it has to be the word war. Let me see up here again. They will be sent away. So they're really like what happened to Israel. They'll be sent away, and they knew that was a war. So, so yeah, I'm going to leave the word war. Okay, now I can get on to the next one. Now this they wouldn't be saying. And we have met our end by sword and famine. We have lacked everything and have met our end by the sword and famine. Can't have that yet. There's no war. They just got done saying they had no war. So that can't be true. This has already been said. The fuchsia color words are words that they're adding in 1977 NSAB. So if that wasn't there, I don't see this needing all these extras here. So Jeremiah is going to reply. Jeremiah replied. Who were giving him such an answer, saying, "Now, you are unbelieving people." Got that already. Can't say this, can't say that. So somewhere, got to find the third verse here. Now, see, this is where the text is saying that they're in Egypt. And they aren't, everybody didn't go to Egypt. Jeremiah would not go against our Creator and start living down in Egypt. So he didn't have anything here that's truthful. See, as it is to the day, and this is not truthful here. But he could reply, unbelieving people. I'm trying to think if I can use any of these that's answer to our unbelieving people. Then he's going to say, like, YV no longer cares because of your evil deeds which you have been committing, and your land has become unclean. This is the most untruthful of those. Our unbelieving people, you are against YV. You're against YV. And that would be the end of this. And then I need a 3 verse to go with that. Yeah, because I need another set to go with that. But it hasn't happened yet, so this can't be truthful. I could only use one word, maybe 2 out of that, I guess. And Now this is a good reply. Now this is Jeremiah speaking. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, instead of trying to, this is too good of a response here. Because as you can see, I was trying to get to the group here, and now I don't need any of this. It's got to come all the way down here. Then Jeremiah replied, "You and your wives." This, I don't like the word spoken. I like spake here as spake. For you and your wives have spake your words. Yes. Hello, how are you doing? I just noticed your post there, and you're on Twitch. Yes, on Twitch. How's your day going? What I am doing here is finding the first writer's formats. And let's see. Oh, I didn't even post them up over top of me yet. These formats that I'm trying to find are a 3-verse or a 4-verse, and it starts with the first verse as a statement, and then the next 2 verses connect as a longer sentence describing that words, such as he's speaking here, and these 2 words are backing up about what the word is, what this statement is saying. And what this proves is that the first writer's words were actually written down, and they started with that text and have been re-editing the text for over 2,500 years ago is when they started doing the text and corrupting it. And by me going through here and kind of pulling them out, I end up with a story that you can see, like, here's a 3-verse and 3-verse, and yet here's a 4-verse stuck in the middle. So this is a hint that this same story was told in a 4-verse and in a 3-verse format. Over the 30 years I've been doing this, I still have yet to figure out this. The 3-verse is a more sophisticated writing. It's really condensed, but it is saying the same thing. Here it's kind of like the long story, like you would teach it. This would be like for the scribes that are very knowledgeable about the text. They would be reading from this one, they'd be teaching from this one, is the best I could probably guess as my best guess. But what you see here is I can get a complete story like this one here. This is a complete story because you get one paragraph here and another paragraph, and yet they combine together to make a larger paragraph. That's why I have a double space here, and then this pattern repeats. So the thing here is this is all one story, goes all the way through, except for this piece at the end. It doesn't connect with this stuff here. And a lot of times the books do this, and then like when I know that there's a group missing or 2 different subjects, I space them out. And because I've been doing these for so long, I'm getting old. And I'm recording why I'm making changes for history's sake. So when people read what I've done, say, why did he change this word? Because I've done our Creator's Hidden Formats. On YouTube channel, you can see my name below to find me. You'll find in the description the link that you can click on it, and it gives you our Creator's Hidden Formats. And it starts at Genesis, and then it ends with the last days of Jesus after he rose from the dead, returned to the Lake Galilee area, and then met with the disciples, and then he told them to go out and teach his teaching. But in that text, we have actually the last 7 days of Jesus in Jerusalem. That's how descriptive our Creator's Hidden Format is. These are different because you can find these in Psalms real easy, 1 through 10, okay? Anybody can take them over and do them. So the thing there is you get to see this text that they started with and then been adding all their other text to it, proves that there were people there that actually witnessed our Creator. So I haven't established yet a quick, I think it's called Dropbox or something. I got to look into that. But I'm going to put these in PDF forms, and then I'm just going to say, okay, here's the link. You can go look at what I've done and put them in order, because I've done Daniel already. So I've done like in reverse. So I'm starting with, I got to do Isaiah, then I got to do Ezekiel, and then I got to go back to Kings, stuff like that, all the way back to Genesis. But that's kind of what I'm doing here. If you have any questions, I certainly know the text inside and out. Let me give you an example. So you can say, hey, I just bumped into this really weird guy, and come on, slide that over so I can see what's going on. And this guy showed me that there's actually 12 commandments in Exodus 20, 1 through 17. And these are the 12 commandments. Okay? And to know that these are the commandments, when you understand that our Creator defined these as sin, so there's only 12 sins, by saying to bring your sin offering to be atoned, to be forgiven, so you can remain in my nation, Israel. This was the time he created the nation Israel. And then later, you needed to be forgiven these to enter into heaven. These rules haven't changed, but this defines these 12 as what 12 sins are. So the other thing I like showing people real quickly, this is a 1611 preface. And this, they wrote that Gregory is the divine. These are the translator's own words as a message in the beginning of the 1611 Bible. It's the 1611 preface. And he was just a great clerk, but they claimed him as divine. Down here, this is what they said that you'll, and lastly, and the end reward of the study thereof, which is the Bible text that you're going to read in the Bible, the reward is to have a fellowship with saints and a participation of a heavenly nature. Not to go to heaven, not to know Jesus is your King in heaven, just a heavenly nature that you're going to have a participation with. This is in my intro, so if you watch any of my other videos, you can see I go through it and explain it a little bit different. But if you have any other questions, post them, I get to them. A lot of this is new to people. You have spoken your words and fulfilled it. And fulfilled, not yet, fulfilled them by, so I'm adding this, getting rid of this with your hands. Should I say by performing and fulfilled them by your hands? I guess I don't need any of these. This has already kind of been said there, so you just recap it. By fulfilling and fulfilled them by your hands to your, now Queen of Heaven, you know, has to be the moon goddess. So let me just put goddess here. In heaven. And poured out oils to her. Okay. Now that is the response from Jeremiah so far. So this is not needed. I already got 2 verses as a group, and it's pretty much defined as his rebuttal to them. And they aren't living in, this is just them putting text in that's not true. Nevertheless, you heard they weren't just words, they were prophecy or created prophesies. Prophesied. Whoops. Nevertheless, you heard the prophecy for all Judah. Now, this is the nation Judah, so I try to make sure that I put them in small caps, so when the reader understands it's not the male Judah, nor is it the tribe of Judah, it's the nation Judah. Now I need a second part of this. That's wrong. And then I know I've said this a few times in this video, but the text I've had to remove already is telling everybody that all the remnant from Judah after Babylon took, they all went to Egypt. No, they did not, because Isaiah's been prophesying they're going to return here. So those that are going to stay, he's going to leave them to stay. Others that he sent away are going to be returning. So he would not go down to Egypt. So all this stuff in there about Egypt, I mean, I can't keep to say that that's truthfully being said here. This being said, he does watch over for those that are good, but not for your good. If I put the word but not for your good, because he's talking to a specific group that is saying we're going to roast and sacrifice and then eat, or sacrifice, roast it, and eat it, celebrating the Queen of Heaven. But can I use these words? Watching over you. He is not over, he is. The over would be the title Lord. So that's here. As our Lord, that title I could use. As our Lord, as our Lord lives, he is watching let's see, I gotta do this. Then I gotta make it. My macros are not working. So as our Lord lives, he is watching you for your harm, for you. Well, if I get rid of all this, and come over here, add this, get rid of this word. Let me see if I can put this all in one line here. Yep. He is watching not for your good. You know, this is not, I can't make It looks like I can't use any of this. So I'm going to get rid of it all. And I'm going to probably end up saying that the text is missing because the watching over is the title Lord, but the he's watching over because it is for their good. But how do I state that in the words that I've got? And I can't do that with the words. It's a word puzzle, but I can't use any of this. This can't be used. For all Judah, he prophesied from YV. For all Judah is going to be punished. Yeah, it's got to be is. I'm trying to find the next verse here to complete the text above. So can I do it? It's going to be, but these are our Creator's words. So it's going to punish you. And you will know do I put his words or his prophecy? Well, surely don't need this. His words. You will surely know my words, my heralding. Will stand against you. Stand up against you. Okay. Now, is that the end of the conversation, or do I have another story? And since this is another chapter, and this is another king, now Babylon's being introduced again, but the text was not from that timeline. So this is a different subject here. And he didn't give him over to Egypt. Just as you give this guy, let's put it this way, this is what's so corny about these guys writing like this. They're so far out of sync of knowing the story. Like, they've got it so confusing, most people can't figure out the king's timeline. Too bad, our Creator showed me. This is Zedekiah right here. He is the last guy, and they're going after this. So it's kind of like talking about he already gave him over, and then there's people left, and now he's sending over Babylon here over them. This would have to be the king. This would have to be Assyria, not this had to be talking about Israel, not so much being truthful there. Okay, now what I do at the end of these is I try to do a quick cleanup to show the text that I've got out of this one, like finding the gold panning for gold here. Now that we did all the digging, or I did all the digging, let me... Now, I know my macros isn't the greatest right now, so it's going to take me a little longer than normal. Like I said, this is one of the first videos with my new computer, so it's really a mess having to remake the macros that work right. They're so hard for me to make. And then it's going to be a double space, then to meet the format, one space, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now this was a different story, I think. That's why I've got that. 2, 1, 2. Yeah, so I got to leave that space there. I got to edit this. This has got to go in next time. Why are you meditating for yourselves? Then that becomes a 3 verse. I missed that when I was doing this. This looks like it's continuing, but until I really read it and started doing more editing to find out. See, I've got words that this just tells me that this is our creator speaking, and I need to go through and I got to kind of highlight our creator's words like this, give him a little honor and respect in the words here. So this should be 1, 2, and then that goes together. Two. This would be 2. Yeah, 2 like this, and then down. Now this is where this is going to be the continuing of the story. So this goes 2. And I've got 2 there, 1 there, 2 there, 1 there. And now, and this is still one story. So 2 space. And like I said, when it cleans up, it's amazing how these words go together. Just like it didn't miss a beat here. But that's the gold from the text in 44. It only took me a second try to get it right without sticking you on a wrong screen and talking to myself for an hour without going back there, even checking the screen, which was really sad of me. But I will get this the next time I go through these. When I get done with Jeremiah, I will go through these, showing this next editing, and I will try to put the whole story together and show you where I moved everything. And that's when the text really starts looking good here. And then I'm starting to get that, what they call it, Dropbox. I got to get that going, because now it's time for me to really start putting up the videos. Well, that'll be it for today on this one. And tomorrow will be, I gotta save this, will be what, 45? Yeah, so next will be 45. And yeah, this was a long one. This had 30 some verses. Usually that's about 3-hour video. So, but other than that, what's going on here? Anyways, got messages again.